Thank you to the Chamber of Digital Commerce for hosting and inviting me once again to participate in the DC Blockchain Summit. I'm grateful to be here speaking to all of you today on this incredibly important topic. The Chamber of Digital Commerce has been at the forefront of blockchain public policy developments in Washington, D.C. In my opinion, the Chamber is in the best position to represent the many diverging branches of the blockchain ecosystem and to unify the industry toward common goals that ensure investment in the United States that will maintain and expand our leadership in technology and innovation. Bitcoin is 10 years old, and even after a decade, it continues to be an exciting time for blockchain technology. Though it is not new, blockchain technology continues to explode in popularity, inspiring individuals all around the world with creative ideas for ways to utilize this amazing technology. As a co-chair for the Congressional Blockchain Caucus and a member of the Financial Services Committee, I happen to be in a unique position to focus on the intersection of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. With the help of my co-chairs from both sides of the aisle, I look forward to the opportunity to raise awareness for our fellow members of Congress about the benefits and services blockchain technology can provide our nation and our world. Membership is growing in the caucus, and I appreciate the work that many of you in this room are doing to provide more awareness and education on these topics in the halls of Congress. The Blockchain Caucus believes in the future of blockchain technology. We understand that Congress has a role to play in its development, but we also understand that the parameters and regulations imposed by our government has ramifications for ongoing and future innovation and development of the technology. Considering the potential ramifications, we must tread carefully in our policy and awareness efforts. The caucus serves as a platform for industry and government to educate each other on the possibilities and limitations of blockchain. We rely on each other to fill two essential functions: development and regulation. With that in mind, today I want to make three simple points. First, I commend the Chamber of Digital Commerce on their recent announcement of a national action plan for blockchain. This action plan is a necessary step forward. One thing is clear: the industry needs clarity on the government's regulatory intentions. Without that clarity, this technology will not be able to flourish. A year ago, in a committee hearing to examine cryptocurrencies and ICO markets, it became very concerning, perhaps the word is disturbing, to me that the government was planning to regulate this aspect of blockchain technology before having any real understanding of cryptocurrency and ICO markets. At that hearing, I spoke about how these innovations give an advantage to the individual and not to our government. Our system of government places an emphasis on liberty, and I believe these technologies can and will provide significant individual empowerment. I remain concerned that we could overreact and take the liberty away from the individual by handing it to the government. As the Chamber of Digital Commerce has outlined, before we stifle, we must encourage the private sector to develop these technologies. The National Action Plan also provides a needed call for clear regulation prior to enforcement. Although regulators of blockchain and cryptocurrency have been significantly restrained and allowed much of the innovation in this space to flourish, we are currently operating under regulation by enforcement. Regulators must provide clear rules of the road that ensure even the smallest startup with a brilliant idea can become a major enterprise. Without innovation, our nation suffers. And as the industry struggles with compliance, it is becoming more clear that our government is failing. A light touch regulatory approach will allow the blockchain industry to identify key innovations and demonstrate the many potential applications and the value of the technology. Absent a thoughtful approach, we could all suffer the loss of this technology. Congress has a clear role. We must ensure that regulation is simple and concise. If a patchwork of regulations emerge, the industry will suffer and prove government ineffective. This confusion will undoubtedly lead to more regulation, which will only further stifle the innovation and potential application of technology. A clear policy plan will ensure that enforcement does not take place before thoughtful and appropriate regulation is determined. For ongoing consistency, the United States needs a coherent approach that coordinates regulatory actions relating to blockchain. Without experts focused on the industry leading on emerging issues with the technology, Congress will fall behind. In fact, I think we've already fallen behind. One example of the certainty we can provide is the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, which I introduced in January. This bill ensures that blockchain developers that never take control of consumer funds do not need to register as a money transmitter in the states that they operate in. Money transmitter laws were enacted to ensure the protection of the consumer entrusting another entity with their funds in order to transmit them. If no funds are being entrusted to another, then it should be certain that these regulations do not apply. Point number 2, 2019, I believe, stands to be the year of blockchain. 2019 looks like the year where we separate hype from reality and begin harnessing blockchain in the right use cases to lower costs and increase efficiency. As practical implementations of blockchain emerge across the country, these technologies will be inescapable, and the management of their impact must be watched closely. Together, we can find solutions to encourage and foster the growth of this technology, while at the same time mitigating risk. All around the country, the innovative entrepreneurial spirit of Americans is advancing the application of blockchain technology, despite the lack of regulatory certainty or formal federal support for blockchain. I'm sure we all have examples of the practical implementations of blockchain in our communities. In my home state of Minnesota, United Health has announced a blockchain pilot to accurately share healthcare provider data and ensure consistency of those records. BankU, another company based in Minneapolis, has been empowering individuals at the start of commodity supply chains across the world to own their data and build a history of credit, all on the blockchain. Great North Labs, a venture fund based in the 6th Congressional District that I represent, is supporting disruptive technologies like blockchain and establishing an advanced workforce beyond the Twin Cities into smaller Minnesota cities, rural areas all across the Midwest. And recently, the Minnesota Blockchain Initiative was established to encourage more development in Minnesota and to foster a community of innovators. Many private companies are finding the right use for blockchain technology. We see these implementations in supply chain logistics, healthcare, and even in agriculture. That leads to my final point. As I mentioned earlier, my position on the Financial Services Committee and my role as a co-chair on the Congressional Blockchain Caucus has put me in a unique position to focus on cryptocurrency. Many, especially in this town, would like to focus only on blockchain and ignore or criticize cryptocurrency. These people will tell us that Bitcoin is used by criminals and that blockchain is the real innovation. On one hand, I can see the reason in their argument. Currently, cryptocurrency has a bad name. Part of the term literally means secret. And yes, it's true, there are illicit transactions. Maybe not as many illicit transactions as may occur utilizing the US dollar, but they do exist. That should not, however, be a reason to entirely dismiss cryptocurrency. The real innovations behind cryptocurrency are not secrets or illicit use. During this summit, you have and you will hear about the many practical implementations of blockchain. We can think of the generic term blockchain as a simple and more efficient database or a protocol for more quickly and more accurately verifying information. But I believe the elements behind what we think of as cryptocurrency are actually the most interesting and potentially revolutionary aspect of this technology. Bitcoin was the first implementation of a network open to the public reinforced by its own participants and capable of letting two participants interact with no middleman. This is the revolutionary aspect of this technology. The idea that we could develop an open network in which we control our own data while freely interacting with each other and without having to trust gatekeepers. That idea could be one of the most major breakthroughs of our lifetime. Talk about empowering the individual. We can't let ourselves forget what an incredible innovation this is. When the internet was introduced, we had no idea it would be used the way it's used today. While it may allow nefarious activities, it brought a massive shift in how we receive knowledge, share information, and socialize. Technologies, new and old, present many unknowns for our society. As we welcome a new technology, and we recognize it also comes with new opportunity and new risk. Investigating and preparing for these unknowns is necessary, but as we investigate the ways it could be used, it is important we do not lose sight of the incredible benefits these technologies can offer. The work that we can do on the front end to mitigate possible risk is important, but we must not let that stifle innovation. We can't let ourselves be afraid of the unknown. Many before us have shunned new technologies before ever allowing them to develop. If we recklessly overregulate today, we should worry not only about the opportunities we will miss, but about who will lead if we do not. We have a clear and present opportunity to utilize this technology to solve some of the world's deepest, most complicated problems. And if we don't, someone else will. Any legislation or regulation should be straightforward and simple. It should be clear and narrowly tailored to specific applications of the technology to allow us to lead in this space. As I tried to articulate what really interests me in the cryptocurrency space, as we currently know it, the idea of an open public network is not simply limited to currency, securities, or commodities. In Congress, these policies cross several committee jurisdictions. These jurisdictional fights may be important to members of Congress, but no one else cares. These battles should not be a barrier to working together, and it should not affect our need to holistically support these emerging technologies. I look forward to working with my colleagues on the Ways and Means Committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, and the Financial Services Committee, among others, to support and embrace this technology as a benefit for the United States. It's important to recognize the good that blockchain can do and the good it is already doing. With all of this in mind, we have so much to be hopeful for, and I remain undeterred in the efforts to foster this emerging and growing technology. If we avoid harmful and unnecessary regulation, this technology will solve some of the largest problems of our time. As we move forward, I know I'm going to get the chance to work with many of you to support these crucial technologies, and I look forward to the opportunity to ensure not only the innovation and growth in application of this technology, but our leadership in the world of this industry. Thanks again for the invitation to join you today. Enjoy the rest of the summit.